Welcome to Sunday Sips with the Scribbler set. I'm D and I'm feeling creepy.
I'm C and I'm feeling vicious.
I'm B and I'm feeling like a goddess. Yes.
Wunderbar. So it's Sunday Sips. We're all sipping on something. I'm on my tried and true agua in my cute unicorn cup because my tummy hurt.
I'm also drinking water today.
Also drinking water.
We're hydrated divas over here at the Scribbler set. Cheers, ladies.
Yes.
Cheers. So this week, in continuation of our spooky season, we are going to talk about writing horror and giving some tips or pointers on making your stuff as creepy and horrifying as you can. So I personally really love the horror genre. Shawnee, we grew up with Miss Miriam, who was the queen of horror. So Stephen King, like Dean Koontz, like grew up reading those stories and watching those movies. So it was something that I feel like was ingrained in me from a young age to enjoy those kinds of stories. Um, I guess we'll kick off with our tips. So, what tips you guys had for people to make their horror more horrifying?
I'll start with a little story and then I'll give my tip. So, one of the scariest moments for me as a kid was after the Chucky movie had come out and we had all watched it. So, before the movie came out, I actually had a My Buddy doll. I had a My Buddy doll. I have pictures with him as a baby. Like, that was my doll. And so, this is long before the movie came out that I had the baby. Chucky movie comes out. I'm chilling in my room, being a toddler, toddling about. My brother and sister get it in their minds to scare the crap out of me. So they take my buddy doll and they stand him up at the end of the stairs. They hide behind the stairs landing and call me down. Shantae, come downstairs, come downstairs. I'm toddling down the stairs. I see my buddy doll standing at the end of the stairs, and someone, whether it be Detro or Ryan, behind the wall was like, "Hey, Chicky, want to play?" And it scared the crap out of me. And from that day on, my buddy doll was out the house, and any dolls that could talk. So Teddy Ruxpin, my dad tried to give me one for Christmas. Absolutely not. Like, if a doll could talk or move, I did not want anything to do with it. So that leads to my tip, which is make your horror relatable. If you can take something as indiscriminate as a doll and make it absolutely terrifying, you're doing a great job. I think you should take everyday things in life, things that maybe creeped you out when you were a kid. Maybe the creator of Chucky had, we have an aunt who has like a doll collection, and maybe they woke up one night in the middle with all these porcelain dolls staring at them and was like, oh, hell no. And, got the idea from it from that. So my tip is take things, everyday things that scare you. Like, I mean, even potentially take a story we talked about last week, no, week before, Ghost Stories Week, about, that feeling of turning off the light behind you when you have to go up the stairs. Maybe having a story where there actually is something lurking behind you when you turn off the light and it's just waiting to catch you unaware that one time. So take something from the normal and make it abnormal. That's my tip.
That's kind of along the lines of like my tip. As you guys can see, I'm a clown. Clowns, innocent, funny, happy, like something that's supposed to be a good thing, quote unquote. But my tip is to take those things that are not creepy at all, and make them the monster or the creep factor of your story. So like it, everyone's terrified of it and John Wayne Gacy. Like everyone's terrified of clowns now, and clowns are like, supposed to be like, oh, like we love a clown. Clowns are so funny, but now it's like underneath all of the ha 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 ha. Now it's like, ah. Like, is that clown gonna kill me? And I personally hate clowns because of it. um, creep the badoobies out of me. So my tip is to use those things that are not meant to be funny and peel away the layers to reveal the terror underneath. Um, because I think that's always like so shocking when you're like anticipating something to be like good and then it turns out actually sucker. That's why it's so creepy when when kids are like the focus of like a scary story at any point, because like kids, they're all that's innocent and great and pure in the world, and then it's like I see dead people and you're like, oh shoot.
Yeah.
Or like the who's the kid like Rosemary's Baby, or that, oh my gosh, it's so old, that movie, The Good Son, I think it was called.
Oh, I remember
Yeah,
that.
and remember like he was just like innately evil and he pushed the boy off. Like
Yeah.
that.
As a
Those,
mom, the scariest part is like the ending when they're like, you gotta choose. And you're like, I know this one's my kid, but I know what he's done.
yeah, and I think
So,
that like I think that builds like so much terror, because like in your heart like you're like, no, it can't be, it can't be, no, no, like you want to explain away what you're
mhm.
seeing and witnessing, because this is supposed to be something that's not evil and they're doing the opposite. So that's my pointer, my tip two. How about you, about Brittany?
My tip is a little different. For me, scary stories always seem the scariest when the horror kind of played off the senses, like the hearing, the smelling, the seeing, like the shadows in the dark, or that little prickly feeling in the back of your neck. So I feel like one of the biggest things with writing is tapping into that, like making the reader feel like they're in that. Because I remember reading, and this is why I don't read scary stories. It is when I was younger, I was reading it was I always wanted to read like the Goosebumps and all that other stuff, because like the kids in my class were like, oh, I love this, I love this. But I would stay up at night and read them, and like I had such a vivid imagination, like the things that I was feeling and that they were describing in the books. I could I felt like they were happening to me. Like I all of a sudden started hearing the footsteps or got the chill down my spine or whatever. And then like after that, I was like, I'm done reading this. So I feel like tapping into the senses and like making sure that you immerse that reader into that moment is a huge thing that can take something, just an ordinary scene, into something even more creepy. Even like a lullaby, like you ever hear like, oh, rock my baby on the treetop, blah 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 blah, and it's like it sounds simple, but then you just change the tone of the song just a little bit, or one of the notes, and automatically you have like a horrifying score for a movie. So all that kind
1,
of plays
2,
into,
Freddy's coming for you.
yeah, see,
3,
like
4,
if you sing
better
that
lock
slightly
your
different,
door.
it would be like a happy song, but the way you sing it like makes you be like, ugh, I don't want to see that. So stuff like
Even if
that.
it's like happy, it's still creepy because it's like,
Yeah, like you're in.
1, 2, Freddy's coming for you, and you're like, oh shoot, who's coming for? I hate Freddy Krueger, but you know, cool. He gets you
Yes.
in your dreams, and that just like terrifies
Which
me.
is another great tip, is using the character vulnerability and honestly the
Hmm.
audience's vulnerability. Like if you can exploit those vulnerabilities, the moments when like the psycho scene in the shower was so life-changing for film because it's such a vulnerable moment. She's in the shower, like when you're naked, you have nothing but a bar of soap to protect you. That's awful. That's terrifying. Rosemary's Baby, like Deidre mentioned, pregnancy is so vulnerable. You're so vulnerable because you're not just protecting yourself, you're not trying to protect your unborn child who is, you know what I mean? Like tapping in Freddy Krueger, your dreams, you're asleep, you have to sleep or you'll die. You have to sleep. And it's when you're most vulnerable, tapping into those moments and making them horrifying, not only is great for the character story, but also the audience. You leave and you finish reading a book or you finish watching a movie or you finish watching a show and you are like you can't get comfortable. I know me, like if I watch or read something scary enough, I have to have like cartoon time after. Like I need something silly to try and like get that out of my brain because you feel so vulnerable and exposed when those moments are taken and
Mm-hmm.
made horrifying like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Another thing too is the fear of the unknown. Like sometimes
Mm,
when there's like a reveal too soon of what the monster is or what it is that's like coming for you, it takes away that feeling of fear because like once you can identify it, your imagination's no longer running wild,
right.
right? And it's like when you can picture something, then you can figure out how you can kill the damn thing. But if you
Mm-hmm.
have no idea what it is, like it's just it keeps growing in your mind and you don't know how to fight back against something that you can't that's unseen.
Right.
So like the power of using that but still building that character or that monster without ever actually revealing it, I think can be a very powerful tool as well, in building that terror. But one thing I will say is like you build it up so much, and then if it falls flat, it's
Yeah.
always like, man, that was sucked. Like
I
wasn't
feel
even
like the movie
scary.
Signs did that well. Because when you finally see like the alien, it's not that scary, but it had been built up so much throughout the movie that you're like, what's
Yeah.
gonna happen?
Yeah,
Or
like wah
The
wah.
Sixth Sense, which if you haven't seen The Sixth Sense, like go ahead and shut off now. But I mean, this is 30, what, how long did that movie come out? Like that's your own fault. So, anyways, my husband actually hadn't seen it. And recently, a couple months ago, I was like, oh, let's watch The Sixth Sense. And he's like, oh, I haven't seen that. Because I was just feeling like watching a horror movie and I like, some of the classics. I had assumed that by this point, surely he knew the spoiler, right? Like how do you avoid that? He had no idea. And there's a moment we're watching where it clicks to me, oh, he doesn't know. He doesn't know. So I got so excited, but I had to hold it in. I was just sitting there like,
That is so funny.
so when the reveal came, oh, it was so satisfying getting to witness someone seeing that big reveal. And like that's another movie where I feel like it was just like it was such a good twist because there's signs throughout the movie that let you know that it's coming. So when you know that, it's less of a big reveal because you can see you like, oh, duh, how did I not see that the first time?
Right.
Getting to watch it with someone who had never seen it and didn't know that was so good. It was
That's
so
cool.
fun.
That's like another movie spoiler if you haven't seen the last Twilight movie.
Yeah, that's what I was
um
thinking when she said that.
yeah, is like when you take something that's so well known and then you just like flip it on its head. So like all of
Yeah.
us who had read the books and were like familiar with what happened, you're in the theater having an expectation of what you think's gonna happen, and then they just were like, nope, suckers, we're killing everybody. And at first you're like, oh, this isn't real, but then it just keeps going. Like the battle keeps going and going, and you're like, I literally like we almost walked out of the
The
theater.
theater was lit. That was one of
So
the funnest midnight. I miss midnight
Yes.
premieres. I miss how that excitement and that energy because if you're at a midnight premiere, you're with
you're a
people who
hardcore fan.
really are
Yeah.
fans. So the
Yeah.
audience, you can't remake that. They were going crazy. It was so fun.
Yeah. We
But
were
I think
all screaming. We're like,
Mhm. The Carlisle reveal, it was like,
"Ah!" Everybody lost it. That was one of my favorite movie nights ever.
yeah.
I wish I could go back
and
and
relive
redo
it.
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I think that's like a powerful tool too, like that they use in the filmmaking, but like even in your writing, it can be something like Shantae said that's every day and people have certain expectations, just like with like a clown or something that's supposed to be innocent. You have certain expectations of what you think is going to happen, and then
Those twists, those
flipping it
plot
over
twists.
like
Yeah.
can affect people's emotions.
I just have to
So
say, when it comes to clowns, it was not it for me. It was Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which I have now watched as an adult, and I realize how silly it was that I was horrified by it. But man, that movie had me shook in my boots when I was a kid. Just
Have you?
imagine giant spiders and killer clowns. Terrible.
yeah, I
That's
mean, it was an awful
insane.
movie and it was very scary. But
I the only one who is just inherently afraid of clowns? Because I feel like there was nothing that triggered it. I just never really liked them to begin with.
No,
It
I feel
was
like that's probably why people started putting them in horror movies because they do have like
a
it's almost like an
creepy
uncanny
factor.
valley feel because of the way the makeup is, like especially when it's like
Mhm,
all whited out and everything, and then like the new features, it's like uncanny valley. It's like unsettling in a way sometimes.
mhm. My mom had decorated me and my brother's kid room in clown stuff. So I remember being awake because I always had issues sleeping.
It's so
And
messed
like
up.
I know, but we had this toy chest and it had clown faces on it. And I remember going to bed staring at it and just seeing the clowns' faces like morph into frowns and scary faces. And I know, like, I have a vivid imagination as a kid, it was like out of control. But I'm just thinking back at it and I'm like, I've never liked clowns ever since that. I was just like, I cannot, like, they were always weird looking to me. And then like having those moments, I was like, nope,
Yeah.
nope. It just got made worse by it
Your
and all
mom
the.
was wrong for that.
She
I
was.
have an aunt
If
who
you're watching
collects
this,
that
mom.
stuff. She collects like clowns, like little clown dolls and masks and figurines and stuff. And she had like a whole room filled with it. And it was like the guest room. So nobody, we were always like, I don't want to, I'm scared of that room. I'll sleep on the couch.
You know what was also scary? My grandma had, I don't know if you guys remember those porcelain masks. They're like almost like
Yeah.
jester masks, or
Yeah,
yeah, my grandma
that's what
used to
she had like a couple
collect
of that.
those
Yeah. Oh,
all over
her
her
and our aunt
wall.
could hang out.
Yeah. And I would be laying in there when we would go visit her, sleeping in her room. Like I would see eyes pop up in them, and like it would just be, oh, oof,
I feel
creepy.
like that's where like that psychological fear comes in that you can put
Mm-hmm.
into your stories as well. Because if you can make the reader and the character question themselves, like
Mm-hmm.
is there actual like danger or is it in my head? And you can use those moments like the childhood, like I'm laying in my bed and I feel like these dolls are creepy and like are these dolls dangerous? Is this a Chucky situation? Or are you just, it's just in your head, making you
Right.
doubt yourself? Because I feel like that doubt is what keeps people in the haunted house stories, or it like keeps the doll for longer than they should, because that's that human doubt of, okay, well, this isn't real. Like, let me explain
Yeah.
it away.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I totally agree, Shantae. I was just thinking about one of the scariest dreams I ever had as a kid. We had bunk beds, and I think I maybe was like 5. Like, is how much I remember the dream because it felt so real. But like, I had a dream. I was asleep, and I woke up in the dream, and there was all these skeletons like flying over my bed, like just like flying over my bed and like swooping into me. And I remember it so clearly, but it was like I was asleep in the dream. I woke up in the dream. So when I woke up in reality, I couldn't separate the reality from the dream. So
Mm.
it's like, is this still happening? And I think that's like a really why Freddy was so scary too. It's like it's just really powerful like when you're not sure what is true and what is not true. Like
Like
what's
an
the
inception
reality?
sort of
Yeah,
thing.
like is this
Mm.
reality or is this just in the mind of the character or like so I think that's like when you play with that aspect of it, it can be really powerful in your stories and creeping people out because I'm still creeped out by that.
Are you awake, Deidre? Or is this all a dream?
That is always a question I have. I'm like,
I
is
do,
this reality? Is this real life? Or
I
am I
do
in a
be
coma
thinking that too.
somewhere?
Yeah,
The
I think that
real
a lot.
life. Is this just fantasy?
Caught in a
I
escape
feel
from
like
reality.
if it was, I would have more money if it was a dream.
I don't know. My dreams are crazy.
Yeah,
All
some of
that.
mine be messed up too. Especially the ones where somebody's chasing you and it be like, oh, you wake up sweating. And I'm like, I better have burned calories having this dream because this was too much.
Mm-hmm. Intense dream.
Yeah.
So those are some tips. Hopefully they'll help you guys out in your writing. If you have some pointers or tips for how to improve our horror writing, what is happening to Shantae on the screen up there? She's freaking me out. Um, so if you do have any pointers that you want to share, definitely share them with us. Look for You guys can go back and see like the full tips that we have if you go back and look at our post this week. Just talking about this. And hopefully it'll be helpful to you guys because we're still looking for your ghost stories. So maybe some of these tips will help you in making your ghost stories more spooky. I want something that's gonna make me feel like spooky poopy. Like,
Right? It's so scary that I need to watch some SpongeBob after.
yeah, like we want to be scared, guys. Like, yeah. That's
Yeah.
I don't know what voice that was, but I loved it.
Let's hear your
So,
best clown voice, Deetra.
kids, I'm Mrs. Sparkles. I don't know who Mrs. Sparkles. Would you come over to my house? I have some candy for you.
I'd be like, is it Starburst?
Brittany would be so easy to kidnap to this day. Just so you know, if you want to kidnap someone, Brittany is right for the picking.
If it was a vampire, I probably would jump in.
I'd be like, hey, teacher, we got vampires at the house.
Like real vampires?
You guys.
Remember the question when it came out, everybody was like, what would it have to say to get you in the gutter? That
Yeah.
would be Deetra's. We got
There's
vampires.
vampires down here.
She's like,
Hi, guys. That was That's sad. Well, that is it for tips. Make sure you submit your stories because Halloween week is coming up quickly.
I just thought, I'm like, there's nothing he could say because I wouldn't be able to fit down that damn gutter anyway. I'd be like,
That's what the world would see as my ass like sticking out in my legs.
dumb bitch.
Upper body and like flailing because I can't get my ass in.
Sorry.
stop it. Oh.
We're like, can we remove the grate? Like we need to.
Like, can you help me get kidnapped?
This is sorry, I don't meet the requirements to be kidnapped. That's like those memes you see in the like me and my best friend or me and my sister when the kidnapper like says something to you and they're like like dying laughing.
Yes.
Yeah, that I feel like that would be us getting kidnapped, y'all. Like they are so unserious.
They're like, we're probably not gonna get money off of them because they're probably like
like you've been kidnapped.
yeah.
He's kind of hot. Look at those methods. You see how you just threw me in that van, girl?
Who would even
Oh my
pay
god!
the ransom? Because I feel like if they contacted mom, she'd be like, it's expensive.
So foul. Mom would save us.
She might come with a baseball bat and kick some ass, but she ain't paying nobody.
Like, I ain't giving y'all no money though. That is funny.
Sorry.
All right, so that's all we have for you guys today. Make sure to submit your stories. And if you haven't already, like, subscribe, follow, share. We want more people to join our Scribbler set family. Until next week, keep it spooky, y'all. Peace out.